the government, the criminal elements of the government on record ship in the majority of the narcotics. The big banks publicly launder almost all of the drug money, and police will tell you we're not allowed to investigate them. They are above the law. Now, obviously, the drug culture is where criminals already gravitate to, so there's a lot of bad people in it, a lot of criminals in it, because we've given them this black market. So I'm not endorsing the drug culture by any stretch of the imagination. I absolutely abhor it. My issue here is that they have now arrested a whole bunch of people in a raid on the actor Hoffman's death from heroin, a particularly strong type known as the Ace of Spades. They give these things brand names. And Hoffman reportedly was found dead, never even got the needle out of his arm. Philip Seymour Hoffman, a very talented actor who struggled with substance abuse. And so they've now raided the house, the apartment building, they believe, where they were selling the heroin. Our Marines and Army, on record, grow and protect the majority of the poppy fields in Afghanistan. And if you look at the BBC's own numbers, in the 11 years, it's now 12 years, but the first 11 years of the liberation from the Taliban, yeah, right, the totally staged war, they only arrested a few Taliban groups that had actually been pro-America and exposed al-Qaeda and had tried to turn bin Laden over in the year before and were aware of what was happening. That actually came out in the foreign press, by the way. And then they basically, you know, the fake war they had was real al-Qaeda with proxy 14-year-old, 15-year-old conscripts in dugouts out front of the major cities that then our military was told to target. And so it was all a simulated fake war. And U.S. Special Forces colonels went public in the San Francisco Chronicle and talked about this, the airlift of evil, all of it. And so you fast forward over the next 11 years, I'm just giving you numbers from a year ago, over the next 11 years, now it's 12, 13 years, and the production is up 11 to 12-fold. It was 10-fold within 5 years, and then 11-fold, then 12-fold. For a short period, it went to 13-fold, and then now it's back down to 11-fold, the numbers we saw in 2012. So you've got an 11-fold increase in opium. Less than 7% of world opium supply in 2001 was coming out of Afghanistan. It is now 93%. In fact, guys, just show people, 93% of world opium that's turned into heroin, it's purified and concentrated into heroin, 93% of world opium is cultivated under the loving NATO eyes and then loaded on C-130s and shipped in to Russia, Eastern Europe, Western Europe. The Pentagon flies it in to southern Serbia, now under al-Qaeda control, the KLA, and then it's distributed out through Europe from there. And Russia has complained about this. It's been devastating Russia. It's been used as a weapon system against Russia. And so they're going to go bust who they allegedly say sold the heroin. Probably did. They look like a bunch of scum to me, classic heroin heads, people that would sell this type of poison to people. But they're selling hillbilly heroin to everybody for decades. You know, take Oxycontin, take hydrocodone, well, all that garbage. But, I mean, there's the voice of Russia. U.S. NATO protecting opium in Afghanistan. We just showed you a New York Times article saying the same thing. Guys, if you put in Afghanistan, 93% of world opium production, you'll get an AP article from 2 years ago. The point is they went from 7% to 93% of world opium production, and that's 12, 13 times. There it is. U.S. expects record poppy crop in Afghanistan. And it said it soared to over 93% of world production. There you go. Boom, 93%. And I was saying from 2001, it was less than 7. They use a number in USA Today from 2006 that it was 34% of world production. Yeah, it went from 7% or less to 34% in 5 years. And then after that, it jumped up to 93%. Okay? Now, let's just get this straight. You understand what I'm saying here? They are shipping it into our country, and then people are mainlining this stuff. There is a heroin epidemic. People think it's so cool. Let me tell young people something. Do not ever, ever take heroin. I've taken heroin one time, and not via a needle, when I was 15 at a party, a beer party, you know, where 2 beers would get us drunk or whatever, and parents are out of town, you know, you have friends come over, and somebody put a heroin pill in a beer and didn't tell me. And, folks, I thought I was going to die. I thought I was going to die. I guess they call that slipping somebody a Mickey. They're like, oh, we did it because we're your friends. And these were like 18-year-olds doing this, and they gave a couple of, and I had like nightmares while I was awake, like Edgar Allan Poe, who was on heroin. I laid there in the dark 5 hours into it, just praying for it to end. It's like when the TSA wants to search me and ask me questions and ask where I'm going when they know full well who I am. I'm their public enemy #1 on record, along with Matt Drudge and a few others. And the government is running al-Qaeda and the Taliban on record in Egypt, Syria, areas of Eastern Europe, Serbia. It's mainstream news that our government is arming al-Qaeda so much they were able to retake large parts of western Iraq all the way into western central Iraq in Fallujah. There's battles going on every day for a month with tens of thousands of infantry troops, the Iraqi military, trying to battle al-Qaeda with weapons NATO gave them. I mean, that's in the news, just dryly being reported. It is absolutely mind-blowing for me. And then I've got to go fly and be treated like I'm a suspect, which is absolutely ridiculous. And they've already done a background check. They know I don't have a criminal record. They know I'm a media person. I mean, it's like checking the diaper of the 5-month-old Alec Baldwin daughter. And they knew who he was and who his baby was. And I've seen it with other celebrities, Jesse Ventura and others that I've flown with. You name it, where when somebody's a celebrity, the other cases I'm not at liberty to talk about, they get messed with more at the airport. There was a study out last month, actually, in January, that celebrities get worse service a lot of times and actually harassed. It's true. All these people in the system mess with them. But I'm digressing. The criminal elements of the government are publicly using al-Qaeda to take over different countries and destabilize things and have an excuse to be in the Middle East and weapons sales. And then we're all suspects when the government is publicly arming them. I mean, if you give money to a charity and you don't even know that that charity is giving money to a designated terror group, you're talking 25 to 40 years in prison. Look up the federal statutes. In fact, under the NDAA, they could just disappear you. It's even worse than those statutes. Look it up. But then they're aiding and abetting them publicly. And that's just like the opium that's processed into heroin. 93% of world production pouring out of Afghanistan from 7% when the West took it over. There's heroin deaths and ODs just everywhere. Heroin this, heroin that. I mean, I haven't seen heroin needles on the ground in my life, except when I visited New Orleans when I was a kid, or New York City. Now I'm on the hike and bike trail, I see heroin needles, ladies and gentlemen, in Austin, Texas, laying around everywhere. This is disgusting. And then, oh, don't worry, the police have busted the retail alleged dealers in this guy's death, and literally the #1 progenitors and producers and distributors and sellers and money launderers are the big banks, Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan Chase, brokerage banks, you name it, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, Wachovia. They're all on record laundering tens of billions of dollars a piece a year, on record. On record. And there's not even an investigation. I guess Wachovia, Wells Fargo, in a 2-year program had to pay a $111 million fine 2 years ago for $387 billion over the 2-year period of laundered money. That's Bloomberg reporting that. Just type in $287 billion, laundered drug money, Wells Fargo, you'll get Bloomberg. Okay. Oh, but don't worry. Don't worry. There's the Bloomberg headline. Banks financing Mexico gangs admitted in Wells Fargo deal. And I guess the first fine was $111 million. They paid 40-something more million. So it was $160 million in the final equation that they paid on hundreds of billions. Oh, look. The number went up. I'm sorry, there's two numbers. It's $420 billion. My friends, Alex Jones here to tell you about some of the most important information concerning you and your family's health. Radiation levels have more than doubled in the last 60 years in the Northern Hemisphere from all of the nuclear testing and radiological accidents. Radioactive contamination is now in most of the food supply. There's only 2 ways to avoid this. Move south of the equator or properly protect your thyroid with nascent iodine. Looking to protect my family, I've done deep research. Nascent iodine is the purest, cleanest, absolute best form of iodine to protect yourself and your family. It's made right here in the USA, completely non-GMO. I searched out the best quality and now have developed a double-strength form of nascent iodine, exclusively available at InfoWarsLife.com. Nascent iodine is on record as one of the only safe ways to detox from fluoride poisoning. Survival Shield Nascent Iodine. Secure your super high-quality nascent iodine today at InfoWarsLife.com. That's InfoWarsLife.com.